I've been struggling to get Beelzebub to start for the last couple of days. I struggled yesterday and I've struggled again this morning. It's quite a surprise that it doesn't just turn and fire first key. The amount of service work it's had, it should. Truthful with you, it has been struggling to start. I say struggle, it probably turns over 5 or 6 seconds on the key before it fires, and then it's quite lumpy. It's not misfiring, but it's lumpy. It's like kind of spluttery. Now this morning, like yesterday morning, it will not start. It seems as if it had run out of petrol, but I know it hasn't run out of petrol, and it's got a brand new fuel pump, which was only put on about 10 days ago. So what I did, just to see if fuel was being delivered for the fuel rail, I undid this pipe here, pulled it back, and I got a huge amount of petrol fired out under great pressure, probably 200 millilitres. I pushed it straight back on, tied it up. Then I tried the key. The bloody thing fired up. This was yesterday, and it's done exactly the same this morning. It wouldn't fire, it just turned over as if it was just out of petrol. I let the fuel out of here, and then after about 10 minutes, it just fired up. What I suspect very strongly is this. This is the fuel pressure regulator. What happens, the fuel gets delivered from the left or the right tank, either or, it doesn't matter, to this point. This is the fuel rail. We've got 6 injectors, 1, 2, this is the fuel the LPG system, so ignore that. There's another 1, 2 underneath there, so there's 1, 2, 1, 2, there's 2 more which you can't see, 4, 5 and 6, that's the 6 injectors. The fuel's under reasonably high pressure to the injectors, and anything else gets bypasses. This opens or closes and allows fuel, the fuel that isn't used by the engine, to go back through this pipe down along the front, where it's down here somewhere, along the front of the engine. Then it goes round underneath the manifold, actually, down the other side and through that pipe there. And then it returns back under the floor pan to the left or the right tank. Now, what I believe, I can't work out which way round it is. It's either, I think, this regulator, which is supposed to open and close. Obviously, under higher throttle, the engine's demanding more fuel, so that sort of closes off and increases the pressure in the rail. Then when you take your foot off the accelerator or on tick over, that opens right up and allows probably 95% of the fuel delivered to this point to be bypassed and returned to the tank. If it's open or closed, it's going to struggle. If it's closed, the fuel pressure will be very, very great inside the rail, and it will very quickly flood the engine. Now that's a possibility, that it's flooding. Or if it's stuck open, there'll be virtually no fuel pressure. The fuel will just be whizzing back down this pipe and straight back, and it'll be bypassing the injectors. There'll just simply not be enough pressure at the injectors to fire the engine. I don't know which it is. I'm pretty sure it's one or the other. Now, I'm just about to try it now. If it was flooded, this was a couple of hours ago, I've walked to where I was trying to go to, it should, in theory, let's just turn the key and see what happens. Oh, you vicious. There we go. You vicious bastard. I call this car Beelzebub, and many people ask, why do you call the car Beelzebub? Now, for those of you that don't know, Beelzebub, let me just turn this off, it's a bit loud. There we go, turn this off. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Beelzebub is the name of a devil. It's a biblical name. I'm not a religious person, but it's a biblical name. There are several devils. There's Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, and I forget the others. But this car, inevitably, was going to prove to be a devil. I do know better. I know what happens when you buy a car like this and expect to run a 40-year-old car as a daily. It's going to bite you in the arse, and I fully anticipate and expect and accept getting bitten on the arse. And it's sort of the beauty of it. It drew me in. It tantalised me. It dazzled me, and it drew me in. Even though I knew better, it still drew me in, and I allowed it. And that's the sort of thing devils do. They sort of cheat you, and they sort of get your confidence, and they draw you in, then they bite you in the arse. And that's what this thing does. But that's where the name Beelzebub comes from. So anyway, it just started then. I believe that's faulty. I'm going to look at it a bit more. It's only a small unit, but they're around about £100 plus delivery, and I can't order one until Monday. It's now Saturday. I can't order one until Monday, and it would hopefully arrive Tuesday. It's a 5-minute job. You just literally undo this here. You lose a bit of fuel. Undo this here, and there's a vacuum pipe, and it just obviously undo the battery. You don't want any risk of spark. So it's a very simple job. I've got all the tools in the boot, but I don't have a spare. So yeah, it just started. Let's just see if it starts again. But it probably won't start in the morning, having stood overnight. Yep. Ooh, it's a bit lumpy. Yeah, the engine's shuddering slightly. It's a bit lumpy. I know it's cold, but this engine's beautifully serviced. It's just a bit lumpy. It's either underfeeding or overfeeding. I suspect overfeeding, and it's slightly flooded, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I don't know if it's overfeeding or underfeeding. It's one or the other. I'm absolutely sure of it. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll have a really good think about it over the next 24 hours or so. And if I think it's anything else, see, there's not much more it can be. See, the spark plugs are brand new. These 10mm racing leads are brand new. The coil's brand new. The injectors have been dismantled and rebuilt. The battery's brand new. That's a brand new Lucas. All the belts are new. The alternator charges perfectly. It's got a brand new fuel pump. There's not much it can be. There really isn't much it can be. It can only be, I'm pretty sure, it can only be the pressure regulator. I feared, oh no, surely it's not the ECU, the electronic control unit. That's a possibility if it's a devil to start, or if it won't start, and that's hidden under here. But being as it's started, I don't think it's that. Electronic control units are a bit like light bulbs. They either work or they don't work. They don't become intermittent. Something like that, because it's mechanical inside, can be intermittent, and it can be affected by heat. So when it's cold, maybe it's getting jammed, and when it warms very, very slightly, it's loosening. But I'm pretty sure that's the culprit. It's got a brand new air filter in there. All of the airflow system. This is recent. I didn't put that on, but it's only been on there about a year. The airflow regulator, I think that is. I can't remember what the proper name is, but I've had all the throttle butterfly. I've cleaned all that out. I don't know. There's one more thing it could be. Down here, it's called an auxiliary air valve. In there. Now, where is it? It's down here somewhere. This is it. Yeah, this. It could be that, the auxiliary air valve. Thinking about it, if that's faulty, it needs a little bit of extra air when it's cold, and that sort of opens and closes with the heat of the engine. That's original. I haven't changed that. I believe that's 40 years old, as is that. That's an original part. It looks a bit cleaner because I had that off in November and cleaned it all up, but it was completely filthy. You could see it was an original part, and spanners had never touched these nuts before. You can always tell if something's been off, and this had never been off. It's an original part, so it could be that, or it could be, thinking about it sensibly, the auxiliary air valve. Possibly both, or I don't know. I'll have to. I've got to find out. So Beelzebub strikes again. It really doesn't pay to get upset or worked up or angry. It makes no difference however upset you get. I just don't allow these things to upset me. I just take it on the chin. It is what it is. It's the sort of thing that will happen if you choose to ride and drive a 40-year-old car as a daily. If this were brand new, it wouldn't be happening. When you take a brand new car today, like whatever that is next to it here, in 40 years time, if that thing still survives, it'll become unreliable. It's massively reliable today, but in 40 years time it won't be. All of the electronics and everything go, you see. So we'll see. I'll have a really good think, and I might even change the auxiliary air valve for a new one if they're not terribly expensive at the same time, and then we just know everything's done. But we'll decide. It's not a massive job, it's just a little bit inconvenient, but it's just one of those things. I accept it and just take it on the chin. Yeah, we're in Brighton. The car's in the it's in the car park at the back of a building very close to the seafront. You know, just the seafront's just over. Where are we? There's the building. It's just that way. It's less than 60 meters, something like that. It's very, very close. Yeah, but never mind. We'll get there. Good old Beelzebub.